is just a mix of algebra review. All of this should be things that you guys have already seen before, but it's a nice review so that you guys are caught up going into Algebra 2. So first of all, we're looking at exponents here. So your structure of an exponent, A would represent the base of your exponent. B is the actual exponent. And AB is the combination of the two is considered your power. So the exponent represents the number of times the base is used as a factor. So the number of times you multiply the base by itself. Exponents represent repeated multiplication. Okay. So just a quick review. If we had 5 to the first power, that just means 5. 5 to the second power means 5 times 5, or 25. And 5 to the third power means 5 times 5 times 5, or 125. Remember, when you're working with negative numbers, exponents are applied immediately to the left. So if you do have a negative out in front of an exponent, like in this case here, with no parentheses, that really just means negative 1 times 3 to the second power, which, if we wanted to expand even further, would be negative 1 times 3 times 3, which would give you negative 9. The negative is not actually squared in this case. But if you had parentheses negative 3 to the second power, then the square is acting on negative 3. So you would just have negative 3 times negative 3, which is a positive 9. So just be careful of the difference between those two. So the next thing we have here is evaluating expressions. You guys should have plenty of practice with this. So all we need to do is substitute the value for each of our variables into the expression and simplify. So in this case, we have a to the c power. A is 4, and c is 3. So this really is just 4 to the third power. Expanded, I could write that as 4 times 4 times 4, which equals 64. B to the c power would be negative 2 to the third power. Make sure when you're substituting in for variables, when they are negative, that you add parentheses around your substitution. This expanded would be negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2, which just equals negative 8. Okay, why don't you guys try 3 and 4 on your own, and we'll do those together in class. Another review term here is absolute value. Absolute value is the distance a number is from 0. Remember, distance is always positive. Okay, we'll do the first two once again. So remember, the absolute value of 3. 3 is 3 spaces away from 0. Similarly, the absolute value of negative 6, although in the negative direction, negative 6 is still positive 6 spaces away from 0. Remember, your absolute value is always positive. Right, the next section here is simplifying expressions. Remember, an expression is simplified when there are no grouping symbols remaining and all like terms are combined. In other words, apply the distributive property when necessary and add or subtract like term coefficients. So this is just really using your properties of addition and multiplication and combining like terms. So for number 1 here, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to distribute with both sets of parentheses. So I have 3 times y, which is 3y, plus 3 times 2, which is 6. 4 times 2y is 8y. 4 times negative 5 is negative 20. And then here is where you are going to combine your like terms. So remember, like terms, you need the same degree or same exponent along with same variable or constant. So I have 3 plus 8y, which is 11y. 6 plus negative 20 is negative 14. And that would be my most simplified form for that expression. Once again, try the second one on your own and we'll go over it together in class. Okay, on to page number 2 here. Quick review of order of operations. So remember, for order of operations, you first need to simplify inside grouping symbols. That is your P. Grouping symbols can look all sorts of ways, whether it's parentheses, brackets, sets. Grouping symbols can even be square roots or cube roots. Fractions, where you simplify the numerator and denominator first, and absolute values. All sorts of different grouping symbols. Next, we'll evaluate all exponents. So exponents, division, multiplication, addition, and subtraction. And remember with those last two, since they are ties, you go left to right. So let's do number 1. So number 1, there are no grouping symbols. So we'll evaluate exponents. We only have one exponent, which would be 2 squared. So I have 10 plus 2 squared. 2 times 2 is 4. Divided by 2 minus 6 plus 1. Next, we have division and multiplication. There's only one division or multiplication symbol. So I've got 10 plus 4 divided by 2, which is 2, minus 6 plus 1. Now we have addition or subtraction. Since that is all of our operations, let's just go left to right. So we'll add 10 and 2 first, which gives us 12 minus 6 plus 1. Now we'll take 12 minus 6, which is 6, plus 1. 6 plus 1 gives us 7. Okay, we will also do number 2 here, and we'll save number 3 for class. So in number 2, let's start with our grouping symbols, which would be our brackets and parentheses. But remember, you work inside out first. So really, we need to complete the furthest inside grouping symbol first, which is our 9 minus 2. So that gives us bracket 21 minus 9 minus 2, which is 7, divided by 2, plus 5. So in this case, we still do have a grouping symbol, which is our 21 minus 7. 21 minus 7 gives us 14, divided by 2, plus 5. Now we'll continue down to step 3, which is division or multiplication. In this case, we just have one division problem. So 14 divided by 2 gives us 7, plus 5, which gives us a final answer of 12. So give number 3 a try on your own. I think it'd be a really good review, especially if you guys can get through it without any extra help. So moving down, we do have another evaluating expression that involves a couple of order of operations. So I'm only going to do one of them now. We'll save the others for class. So number 4, first start by substituting in each of your values. So A is negative 5, plus b, which is 10, divided by c, which is 1/2. Once again, when you substitute in initially, please put parentheses. Doesn't really matter in this case, but it is good practice. So, order of operations, the first thing we're going to do is division. So remember, when you're dividing a fraction, that is your keep, change, flip. So nothing is going to happen with 10. We're going to change our division to multiplication, and then we're going to flip our second fraction, which in this case is 1/2. So that just becomes 2. Once again, we didn't really get that much closer here. We're still working with multiplication. So I've got -5 plus 10 times 2, which is 20. -5 plus 20 gives me positive 15. Okay, try 5 and 6 on your own. Repeat the steps. Use your order of operations. Last thing here is just another simplify example. So just like we did on the first page, let's start by distributing. Remember, when you are subtracting between this, you can, I think the easiest way to go about this is to distribute a -2 instead of a +2 and subtracting the two groups. Just saves you a step. So 3 times m gives me 3m. 3 times -4 gives me -12. -2 times 3m gives me -6m. -2 times 6 gives me -12. From here, let's go ahead and combine like terms. 3m minus 6m gives me -3m. -12 plus -12, or -12 minus 12, gives me -24. And that is my simplest form. All right, once again, try 8 on your own. These should be all things you guys already know and a nice review. All right, thanks for watching.